Hello everybody, Kelly Rice here, but I write under my pen name, K.M. Rice, and welcome to my author vlog. I apologize that it's been a little while since I've uploaded, and as such, I want to share some exciting news with you. For those of you who don't know, I have a brand new book series coming out. The book series itself is titled Afterworld. Book 1 is called Ophelia. I have finally set a release date and made a teaser trailer for this book series. And if you would like to see it, it will be released on Friday, March 23rd, and will be available for your viewing pleasure. But if you can't wait that long, you can join my street team. Doesn't mean you actually have to go out on the street and do things. It's just the name of what these particular groups of people are called. We are known as the Wildling Warriors. We have a Facebook group, which is the place that I recommend you go to if you want to be a part of this, because I also have a mailing list. I'll put the links in the description below. But when I send out a Wildling Warriors email, it's kind of weird because I'm like, here's some information, and then nobody can be like, cool, and write back. But in a Facebook group, we can actually have conversations and brainstorm or whatever it is that we need to do. So my street team, the Wildling Warriors, is for people who are, okay, I just hesitated there because the word I should say is fans, but I feel awkward saying that I have fans. But it's for people who are passionate about my work and want to contribute in some way, want to help me in some way, and in return, they get a variety of things, one of which being early access to content. So for example, my Wildling Warriors saw this trailer on Sunday. They saw it on Sunday, so that came out on the 18th for them. So they've already seen it, they already know the release date, they know the gist of it, and so if you want to see it before Friday, go ahead and look up the Wildling Warriors. I'll put the link below, and you can join the group. One of the things that I will be doing is getting ready to send out some ARCs, some advanced readers' copies of Book 1 Ophelia to those who are interested. So if this sounds like something you want to do, something you want to be a part of, if you want to help out, then go ahead and join. I'll be sharing my launch plan there. I won't bore the random YouTube viewer of my vlog with those details. However, if this intrigues you, go ahead and join. If it doesn't sound like something you want to do or whatever and you have a look around, it's just a Facebook group, you can leave it. So, that is my news. And of course, I just want to remind you, because there was a little bit of confusion about this. I put up a video recently, at least in the past like 2 months, of me sharing that I am now available to hire as a freelance editor and feedback provider. And there was a little bit of confusion of people in the comments asking if this was a temporary thing or if this was something that I would, if there's a time limit on it, and there wasn't. So I just want to make that clear to you that this isn't a limited time offer at all. It's something that I'm doing for now to the foreseeable future, and we'll work out our different schedules, and we'll do it based on when our schedules work best together and kind of play it by ear. And what I've been doing is I will print out, okay, I should be saying my clients, but I have an adversity to that word. It sounds very austere to me. So the people I work with, I tend to print out their work, and I will mark it up depending on if they just want feedback or if they want feedback in the light edit, which I can provide at 2 different pay scales. And I will print it out, and then I will scan that back in and send it to you as a PDF so you have my handwritten notes. But to be extra thorough, I will film a video like this of me explaining my feedback to you, to give you an idea of what to expect. If you sent me something 10 to 11,000 words, my response video would probably be about 45 minutes. So I want to make sure that I'm doing a thorough job and that I'm helping you bring your vision to life as fully as possible. So, that said, on to today's question. This question is one that I am of 2 minds about, so my answer might be quite interesting. So Thelma Florin says, When reading a novel or watching a movie, does being a writer take away the magic of the story for you? Is that the price you pay for being a storyteller? Or does greater joy come from knowing how it's all put together? The short answer is yes to the first question. For those of you who've watched my vlog regularly, you will know this, that I studied screenwriting. Well, you may not know that I studied it prior to any true fiction writing, but I studied screenwriting, and that's where my first endeavors were put forward as a storyteller. And as such, I was warned by my screenwriting professor that learning how to write a screenplay will really sap some of the fun out of watching movies. And that's for an obvious reason. Once you know how a screenplay and a story on the screen is structured, you will know, you will have a sense of what's coming, because at least in American cinema, films follow a semi-predictable pattern. It's a 3-arc act structure. There's always the point of no return in that divides the first act and the second act. There's always the climax, and that proceeds the lowest point. So these are just assigning terminology, however, to plot points and methods of storytelling that you are already familiar with as someone who watches movies and consumes movies and familiarizes yourself with storytelling in that way. So you can be someone who's a avid film goer and still have some of the magic sucked out of it for you. That said, okay, so then to backtrack a little, I did start with, most of my first writing was in screenwriting, but not to say that I wasn't also writing fiction. I was writing fan fiction from when I was a teenager into adulthood, and I was also writing short stories while I was writing screenplays. But the first, I would say, piece of any great length that I finished was a screenplay. So definitely I was writing scripts before I was writing novels, and as I've said in previous vlog episodes, I really believe that helped me in a lot of ways as a storyteller, and it helped me as a fiction writer. You can go back and watch those episodes to see what I mean by that. So knowing the mechanics of how a thing is brought to life can take away the mystery portion of the enigma of the creative process, I suppose. You know, say you watch Lord of the Rings, as you guys know, or you should know, I'm a big Tolkien nerd and Lord of the Rings nerds. Say you watch Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films, and it just all feels so real to you, and you love it, and then you watch behind the scenes, and you see how they brought Middle-earth to life. You see the different models that they made, the different methods of makeup, how they made the weapons. That is fascinating to me, and to a lot of people. However, there are certain tricks that you can't unsee it. For example, I'll keep going with the Lord of the Rings example. They use a method of making certain people look smaller and certain people look bigger by having one person closer to the camera, so of course they're going to look bigger. The other person farther from the camera, see, look right now, my hands. This hand looks smaller because it's farther from the camera. And the two actors must mimic their line of sight. It's very awkward. I've done it. My sister and I have tried to replicate this in our own videos. You redirect your line of sight so that you're not actually looking at the other person, and it feels very awkward. But on camera, it looks like you're looking at the other person, so it does look like people of different sizes are interacting. Once you know that, though, you kind of can't unsee it. And you'll look and you'll see Gandalf and you'll see Frodo talking, and you'll be like, there is a certain stiffness there. They aren't actually looking at each other or interacting. They are one slightly, the depth of field is slightly off. So that's talking about the mechanics of filmmaking, but I think it can be applied to storytelling as well, because like I just said, once you recognize the structure and the pattern that goes into storytelling for the screen, or often for books, because as I've said before, I really do feel that we are writing in an age where you cannot separate the visual medium from the written medium. Most people, myself, I know I've received this comment multiple times, we write very cinematically, we can't escape the influence of film in our writing, in our storytelling. As such, we start to mimic these patterns, and we often have to have a lowest point before the final act of our, for lack of a better word, of our novels, for the denouement. And because of that, you will be reading along, and I think that's why some books can feel predictable. I'm not talking about category mystery, category romance, category thrillers, because those do follow a set pattern that the reader expects, and that is comforting to the reader, and I think that that's why a lot of people turn to, I'm talking about romance in particular, turn to it because they know what they're going to get. However, with other forms of, or other genres, rather, of storytelling, high fantasy is one that will usually have patterns that you expect and that you can sort of predict. That said, I think there's a lot of pleasure to be had in breaking those patterns. And maybe that does come from, my fellow writers, you guys will be able to attest to this, if this is true in your lives or not, to being surprised, being pleasantly surprised. So, just because you know the mechanics of it and how it works, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't read for pleasure and that you can't greatly enjoy what you're reading. I know I certainly still do. And what I've found is that I tend to gravitate towards writers whose imaginations work very differently than mine. It might not be the mechanisms of the storytelling, but it is, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. For example, two series that I love are Harry Potter and The Hunger Games. Also Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. Harry Potter, I'll use an example. I'm sorry, this is a spoiler for book 4 or film 4. I guess it's in film 4. So if you haven't read book 4, press mute right now. At the end of book 4, The Goblet of Fire, they discover that Mad-Eye Moody is actually an imposter and that the real Mad-Eye Moody is at the bottom of a trunk. Yeah. Like I said, I love Harry Potter, but when I got to that point, I'm like, wow. Okay. I can deal with that in this world. Sure, I can deal with that in this world. Would that idea have ever occurred to me? Probably not. Does it seem very ridiculous? Indeed it does. However, that is, to me, is a lot of the charm of Harry Potter, is the preposterousness, the ridiculousness, along with, the very serious themes and the wonderful storytelling and the fun and the magic and the delight. But other than that, that's an example of a twist in the story that I did not see coming because my mind does not work that way. So I do find pleasure in those surprises and in those twists. His Dark Materials, again, mute this if you want to have absolutely zero information about the third book. But I'm blanking on their name right now, but there are creatures in the third book who are elephantine and travel via wheels that they kind of hook these claws into, and then they scoot around. That's kind of a funny image to me, and it's very odd, and it's very strange. Yet I enjoy reading it because there's enough in the book to hook me. There's enough, probably similar to maybe my storytelling tastes and style, to hook me very strongly, and then there are these flourishes that are from an imagination very different than mine, very alien to mine, and I enjoy that. So that's something that I've found, is the more that I've educated myself on storytelling, the more stories I've told, the more I find that in my when I'm reading for pleasure, I gravitate more towards people who will be writing in a fashion that I can delve into, I can invest in, it resonates with me. However, there will be an element of surprise for me because they are interested in different aspects of storytelling than I am. I tend to, like I said, because you can't really escape a post-film world, I tend to look at the scenes I write and visualize them and try to see if there's anything visually silly in them, if it looks ridiculous, or if it will come across dramatic, if it were ever to be on the screen. And that's because, like I said, that's just my style, and I might not write about elephants riding around on cheese wheels or whatever it was, but I still enjoyed that, and I still found it didn't take away from my overall experience of reading those books, and I love those books so much. They had a big impact on me in terms of the style of my storytelling and crafting characters and everything as a writer. I feel like that's another vlog, though. The second half of the question was, does knowing the craft and the behind-the-scenes information itself bring its own pleasure? I think it does. In particular, I find that for screenwriting and for film, I will see a storytelling choice that I'm like, oh my god, that would not have occurred to me, that's brilliant, that's genius. And that's really rewarding and exciting, because that's when inspiration starts to kick in and you're like, gosh, maybe I could do that for my piece. Or try it from this angle or whatnot. So it's always good to expose yourself to other stuff. You never know what's going to spark your creativity and your imagination. In fact, I've gotten several comments already just on this vlog of people who have watched an episode, and for whatever reason it helped them fan that ember, that spark in themselves that then lit their creative blaze. And that's just so incredible to hear and wonderful to know that my words, my presence in this universe has helped other people bring their creativity to the fore, and that's incredibly rewarding to me, and more power to you guys. So yes, always expose yourself to different methods of storytelling, and you will find that maybe you're looking for more exotic stories as you become more familiar with the storytelling techniques that are old hat to you, because you've seen them so many times and now you know how they work and now you're writing in them. But the pleasure of the process itself, that admiration for what other creatives are doing, is a pleasure in of itself, as I just was trying to explain. However, I have trouble turning off the editor. For example, after Harry Potter was done, there was Twilight, and there was a big push for, if you loved Harry Potter, you'll probably love Twilight. I picked up the first Twilight book back when Borders was still around, and I opened to a random page, and I read a paragraph, and I was like, you only needed one sentence out of that entire paragraph to describe the scene. I would want to cross that out. What's that? Okay. Yeah, this is very wordy, and things are being described in great detail that I don't need as a reader. However, I guess I wasn't the target audience, because Stephenie Meyer has done phenomenally well for herself with her target audience. So that's an example of something that I was not able to enjoy at all, even though I might have liked a vampire story. I won't say anything about the other issues that series brought up for me, in terms of weak female characters and all that. But that's an example of where sometimes knowledge of the craft can inhibit your potential enjoyment. That said, in another universe where maybe I wasn't a writer, I still don't know if I would be able to appreciate Twilight. Hunger Games is another example. Hunger Games is a series that I really enjoy, I really love. Once again, sorry, I'm going to talk about some plot details. If you haven't read or seen Hunger Games and you want to, maybe don't listen to this portion. But Katniss was a character that I felt like was so close to being a hero, but was not a true hero, because she did not have, the word I'll use is agency. She did not have enough agency for me to truly get behind her. She was put in situations, became a pawn. Some of that was out of her control, some of it was willingly, but most importantly, she did not make the decision to take action enough on her own. She does in the first book when she volunteers for her sister. That was like, I'm like, yeah, she's my girl. But especially by the time you get to book 3, she's just kind of along for the ride. And there were several pivotal scenes where I felt like she should have done things with intentionality. She should have made some of these decisions with intentionality, which she didn't do. She Peeta and her and the berries, that sparked a revolution. She wasn't intending to do anything with that. Okay, sure, I can give her that. But when she shoots the force field, in book 2, she's just, she's not making it, like I said, with the intention, she's not making these decisions with the intention of not only self-sacrifice, but with the intention of, I am doing this for the greater good, I'm doing this because I believe, I'm doing this for my people, I'm doing this to change my world, which to me are very heroic qualities. They exist in common, everyday people that you'll meet at the grocery store. So I don't think it's asking for too much to see that embodied a bit more in my heroines that I'm reading about. Hopefully I try to do that in my own work, but so that was an example of a character that I'm like, oh my god, she's so cool, she's so, what? No, come on, be cool again, no, just like, get your momentum back. So I ultimately felt a little bit disappointed, and I know a lot of other, particularly female authors, who feel like, you were so close, Katniss, but just off the mark, but you're still an awesome character, and you're still an awesome start, and thank you, Suzanne Collins, for writing The Hunger Games. Maybe the character was slightly off from what I would have preferred, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't true to Suzanne Collins' vision, and it wasn't true to the story she was trying to tell. So, there you go. I'm looking at it in terms of, this is how I want the character to be, this is how I would tell the story. If I could take it and modify it a little, this is how it would be perfect for me. And I'm saying that as someone who participates in the craft versus, you know, someone might, my sister does writing as well, but not to the extent that I do, and she's able to just enjoy stuff more. She's able to, you know, to really enjoy The Hunger Games and say like, well, yeah, I see what you mean about Katniss, but doesn't take away from my extreme fervor for it. There was a time when she was kind of an obsessed fan, and I love that about her. But, so those are examples. I hope that answers your question. I hope that provides you guys with some insight, all you people out there in the universe. And I look forward to doing my vlogs a little bit more regularly. I didn't feel up to being on camera for a few weeks because I've been having bad acne flare-up, and our family lost our last living horse, and it was sudden and unexpected, and it was before his time, so that's been a big blow. And hopefully, understandably, I haven't felt like just being like, yay, let me talk about writing, while you're going through the grieving process. For those of you who've read Darkling, you know that unfortunately or fortunately, I am quite familiar with the grieving process. So I know you have to set your own boundaries, and where you're going to exert your energy, you need to be a bit, you need to be conscious of that. So, that said, I want to remind you as well that because unfortunately I don't upload on a schedule, if you want to be notified when I do upload a video, go ahead and subscribe. You'll get a notification. And if you find that you're enjoying this and you want to give me $1 every month, you can head over to my Patreon page and support this vlog for $1 a month. That's $12 a year. And if you want to do a bit more than that and you want to see me at some of my most embarrassing and wacky moments, you can sign up for Monthly Madness for $5 or for $10 for Scribblings, and that's where you get access to exclusive poetry, short pieces of writing, readings, etc. that are only available to subscribers at that tier. And I thank you guys so much for your support. You are awesome. Please keep the questions coming. I really enjoy answering them. I'm sorry I haven't been producing as much as I had hoped of late, but it is now, spring is coming and it is time for new growth. So for me, and a dollar store Tootsie Roll Pop that I haven't tried yet because my sister ate one and said it was kind of gross. This one's sour apple and it's got Tootsie in the center, not gum, Tootsie. For me, and my questionable lollipop from the dollar store. Bid you all very fond farewell. I'll catch you next time.